It's Car Con Carne, presented by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston. There it is. Okay. The Autobarn Mazda of Evanston. We are in, Fiona, Trevor, we are in a brand new Mazda 6 from the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston. I drove it here. I went downtown first. I work my day job in the NBC Tower. Driving here on the Kennedy, this is one of those precarious situations. It's so easy to speed in this car. This is one of those cars where you tap the gas pedal and you are flying, but you don't feel it. And I would look at the speedometer and think, yeah, I should slow that down. I'm in a loaner. I really need to be a little more cautious about this. This feels like luxury, but then again, that's kind of a Mazda thing. Mazda 6, that's what I'm in now, but I've also driven a Mazda 3, a Mazda CX-9. I love the entire line of cars, but go take a test drive for yourself. 1015 Chicago Avenue, not far from where we are right now, like 15 minutes probably. Old Irving Brewing Company. Fiona.
Hello.
Trevor. Are you ready to do this?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
It's Car Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Car Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
All right, so introductions are in order. We are outside the Old Irving Brewing Company, which has been here for just under 3 years. That, in the backseat, that's Trevor. He's the owner. He's the head brewer. He is the man behind Old Irving Brewing Company. That right there, that's Fiona McEntee. She is an attorney, specifically an immigration lawyer. And so this is going to be like a variety show. We're going to talk about beer. We're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about immigration. Mm-hmm. It's all about balance. But I think, immigration, just kind of starting with you, we're hearing a lot about that for the past few years in the news. Suddenly, this is a topic that people are talking about. I realize as I have conversations with my friends, I really don't know the first thing about immigration. So you're going to help us demystify that tonight.
Great.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Now you, Trevor, we're here to eat your food, talk about your food.
Indeed.
And maybe later drink your beer.
Correct.
Can't do that in the car.
Yeah, probably shouldn't.
No. It's it's sponsored by a dealership. No.
You can.
So instead, we've got Topo Chico. Mm-hmm. Non-alcoholic and delicious and ice cold.
I can open it.
Oh, look at that. You've got the Old Irving Brewing Company.
Oh my gosh. Watch now. I won't even be able
Yeah,
to open a bottle of
snap
water.
it. There you go.
Oh my gosh. What? There you go.
Beautiful. Well, you have that one.
No.
Okay.
Please,
Cheers.
after you. Sláinte.
Sláinte. So tell us, Trevor, in the backseat. You're right there. I can see you. Tell us about the Trotter Project Beer Fest.
Okay, so the Trotter Project Beer Festival is a little collaboration between myself, Old Irving Brewing Company, and the Trotter Project. Trotter Project is amazing. After Chef Charlie passed, they wanted a way to honor him and honor his legacy. So all the proceeds at the Trotter Beer Fest are going to go to support underserved youth in Chicago, which is exactly what the Trotter Project does. Essentially, they make opportunities for inner city youths to start a career in culinary. Chef Charlie Trotter was that guy that opened up his kitchen to so many people, including my mentor, Hamaro Cantu, who is the founding member of the Trotter Project. And
he was like a mad scientist, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, big time. I learned a lot from that guy. But he came to the back door of Charlie Trotter's with like $300 in his pocket from Portland, Oregon, and he opened up the door and started working for Charlie that day and worked his way all the way up to sous chef. So
I love stories like that.
Yeah, he was a really gracious guy, and that graciousness continues within the Trotter Project.
So Charlie Trotter Days is happening August 11th through the 18th.
Correct.
It kicks off on the 11th at the Irish American Heritage Center, which is a stone's throw from where we are right now.
Correct. And so basically, that fest is the kickoff point for Charlie Trotter Days.
What's interesting, and one of the reasons I have both of you in the car at the same time, well, first, I thought you'd have terrific chemistry, and you do. It's proven to be true. You're in the same area. Fiona, you work out of 2112.
Yeah, a stone's throw from here.
The music industry Incubator, right across the expressway, which is about the size of Washington, D.C. That's like...
Yeah, ginormous.
It is ginormous. But you're in the same neighborhood, and that brings me... there's a point to this. Specific to Old Irving, I feel like this brewery was an anchor tenant in helping build up this neighborhood. And I like talking to people like you, Trevor, for the same reason I like talking to Barry Sorkin, who owns Smoke.
Love Barry.
Pioneers in areas that were underserved by cool culinary things like this. Barry did it over on Pulaski. You did it here on Montrose. I mean, you helped bring attention to this entire area.
Yeah, I mean, it was the coolest thing moving in here and having people come by and say thank you. And I think most people are happy that we're here. I think there's probably a few that maybe aren't, but I know like the business across the street, Sidekicks, they were super pumped to have us in, and I know that we kind of have a little back and forth relationship where I think we're sending each other some business either way. And obviously, I mean, every single person that's involved in Old Irving Brewing Company is from this neighborhood. So they all had a vested interest in having something in the neighborhood. And they all knew they needed something. And I also live here with my wife, and we wanted something as well in the neighborhood. So it just all made sense. But it's scary when you open up in a place that's maybe doesn't have a ton around it yet.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it paid off. Yeah.
And Fiona, you working out of 2112, you're a client. You're not a client. You're a customer. I mean, you've come here.
Patronize the spot quite a bit, as do a lot of our colleagues in the space. We come here quite a lot, so it's always great food, drink, obviously amazing hospitality, and we're delighted to have a place so close to us as well.
And that, speaking of the food, one of the reasons I've been wanting to do something at Old Irving for a while, there are plenty of breweries that have good food, brew pubs, they serve good menu items. This is high-end stuff. I mean, this is excellence and culinary adventure going on here. Tell me about this burger we're going to sample tonight.
Oh man, so
I didn't tell you about this.
No.
So it is Monday. So every Monday we release a new burger. It's called the Burger of the Week, and we also do a special with it. So it's $15. You get a beer, a shot of bourbon, and a burger, and then we release a new burger every week.
That's the deal of the century.
Yeah.
And so our baker Eric, he collaborates with our chef Trevor, and they create. And yes, his name is the same as mine. The chef.
I was going to ask. Okay.
And this week it's an 8-ounce grilled patty, smoked turkey, house duck bacon, Beezer, which is our New England IPA, pickled fig jam, whipped Taleggio cheese, arugula, and a tarragon and bacon fat aioli. And yeah, that's not even as crazy as I've seen it. Last week was like a breakfast burger on a biscuit, and we make all of our own breads and make sure that everything is of the highest quality for our guests.
I mean, you could have stopped at the smoked turkey. I would have been like, oh, that's an interesting burger.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the list just kept going. You just didn't stop. Oh my God! So that's coming out. You've got zucchini coming out.
Yeah, we got some fried zucchini with some Sicilian capers and
Yum.
beautiful garlic aioli on that, and some Parmesan cheese grated over top. And then we're going to finish it with a little... Actually, we're going to start with that. Then we're going to go on the octopus, which is braised low and slow and kissed on our Woodfired grill and served with poached, smashed, and fried potatoes and a gremolata.
So how do you feel about octopus?
You know what? I pretty much eat everything.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, I'm not
Hell yeah.
fussy. Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
even...
No.
I didn't even ask you beforehand. I just figured I trust in Trevor. I said, just bring out some food you want us to try.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
Cool. So I'm probably going to do it. I'm probably going to fire our first one now, and we can just kind of talk while it comes out to us.
This is
If
amazing.
that's cool.
Absolutely.
It's like great service, carside service.
That's right.
Superdog is put on notice as of right now. So, all right, let's talk a little bit to you, Fiona. Let's talk a little bit about immigration. As people listening and watching can tell, you are a native Chicagoan, just based on your accent.
Of course. Why, yes, of course.
So you practice immigration law. You have your own firm. You came over from Ireland in what year?
I first moved here in 2002, originally for 1 year as part of my my law school in Ireland. Pretty much fell in love with Chicago straight away, of course. Who could blame me? And
So you came during the summer.
I did. I feel like it's a trick. They get you to come in August to just ease you into Chicago, and then by the time winter comes around, you're already kind of hooked. So that's what happened to me. But I was here just for a year originally, and then I went back home to Dublin, and then I came back out fully and permanently since 2005. I've been here. So.
All right, so if you're watching on Facebook Live right now, we tried to do this before, and then I just realized the camera stopped recording. I'm having all kinds of issues with this new camera. The full podcast with her, Fiona, and him, Trevor, in the backseat, will be available on carconcarney.com. Here's what you missed if you're just now watching on Facebook Live. The food here at Old Irving Brewing is amazing. It's high-end. They serve amazing food. It's going to be coming out. This place is an anchor in the Old Irving area. It's really brought a lot of attention to the area, and we love Old Irving Brewing. Fiona, She owns her own law firm. She's an immigration lawyer. She immigrated here from Ireland several years back. She came here to Chicago. She fell in love with Chicago, mainly because she came in the summertime. Had you come in the winter, you would have gone right back to Dublin. Does that catch us up so far for the video?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah, sounds good.
Technology has thwarted me. All right, so when we left off with you, Fiona, we were talking about you coming over. You came over in the summertime. You fell in love with Chicago. You had a year to stay here. Then how did you move forward?
So I went back home to Dublin, finished my law degree from there, and then a couple of years later I moved out permanently, and I've been here ever since. So I came out in 2005 to go to Chicago, Kent, to get my Juris Doctor from there, and yeah, I graduated in 2007 and have been practicing immigration law ever since. But you know, as we know, it's been in the media a lot over the past 2 years. I feel like prior to those couple of years, I'm not sure that people knew that I actually had a job as a practicing attorney, because people would say, what's immigration law? You know, what does that even mean?
Right, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you here, is because we hear so much about immigration. I don't know anything beyond the top line. People from other countries want to come here and live here. That's it. That's my layman's knowledge of immigration. So I thought you, as someone who has immigrated, as someone who practices immigration law, can just kind of explain the basics. What was the process like for you when you immigrated, and is it different now?
I guess every situation is different. You know, every client's case is different. There might be one or two facts that might separate them from another client. But, my story was I came here as a student, worked thereafter, started working for a law firm, and they sponsored my green card. I subsequently met my husband, and I'm married now with two kids, but you know, I did go through that immigration process before we got married. But everyone's path is different, and I think the goal is to just kind of highlight that immigrants do come from all over in different ways. We do a lot of music, entertainment immigration. We do a lot of business immigration, arts, you know, creative types, as well as family and kind of individual cases. So it's pretty varied.
So you work out of 2112, the music industry incubator we're on Montrose right now in front of Old Irving Brewing, but 2112 is this giant fortress-like, this pentagon-sized facility for the music industry. It's attached to Fort Knox, which is where all the bands practice. So you're right there at ground zero with all these bands rolling in and out of there. Yeah,
that's where our office is. We have a team of about 10, and that's where our primary office is based.
So as it pertains to musicians who come to you, what are you working on? What are you dealing with them?
Basically any foreign musician that wants to come and play in the US needs to have a visa for the gig. There are very minor exceptions to that, but the general rule is if you're, you know, a musician, a band, and you're coming into the US to perform, you need to get a visa. So we help them with that process. And
is that hard to get?
Yeah, of course, and like anything now, you know, the steps are taking longer, and it's become increasingly more difficult. And it's the type of thing that for bands, you know, they can only get visas 1 year at a time out, assuming they can show gigs for the duration. So, you know, it's the type of thing that it's not like they get a visa kind of in perpetuity. They do have to, you know, kind of renew it every time they want to come and tour, assuming, you know, the previous visa had expired. So,
explain to me the social media rule that came up. Because I kind of understood that, but basically judges or someone can go back through someone's social media history and render judgment based on...
Yeah, it's not even that they can. There's actually an obligation on any visa applicant to furnish social media handles that they've had over the past 5+ years. So when anyone is going for any type of visa, there is a part of the form that they need to update it. So, you know, we can foresee that potentially being an issue for clients, and you're just getting into, you know, potential policing of language, and it's just kind of an added layer of concern for some of our clients. And I guess it's just making people more cautious about what they say online, which, you know, I guess everyone can have their own opinion on that, but it's just a thing that we're definitely making sure that we advise our clients about that.
Doing okay back there, Trevor?
Oh yeah, I'm awesome.
I don't want to dismiss you.
I'm learning.
Oh, good.
See, and that's a productive night, right? And we're going to learn about food. Now, this information is already contained on the podcast, but just in case we missed it on the video, it bears repeating. What kind of burger of the week are you bringing out?
All right, I gotta look up the picture. We just released it today, so it's a little bit crazy. But it's on a house-baked ciabatta roll that our baker Eric made. And then it's an 8-ounce patty. Smoked turkey, house duck bacon, Beezer, our New England IPA pickled fig jam, whipped Taleggio cheese, arugula, and a tarragon and bacon fat aioli. You get all that, shot of whiskey and a beer for $15.
And that is the deal of the
And
century.
actually, speaking of food,
What do we have here?
Oh my gosh.
I'm actually gonna have Matt spiel it because I like to have the employees kind of do their thing.
Okay.
Since they know the stuff better.
Oh my gosh.
Why don't you tell them what they have here?
Sure. So
Jeez.
this is
Oh, no.
our
Napkin.
house fried zucchini.
Thank you.
It's strips of fresh zucchini,
wait, hang
washed,
on.
breaded and fried.
Hang on, got to clean up the loaner car real quick.
He had a little.
Here, I can do it.
He tilted the plate.
Here, let me do it.
The garnish.
All right, sorry. So start from the beginning.
Sure. This is our
Thank you,
fried
Fiona.
zucchini appetizer. It's thin strips of fried zucchini that are egg washed and breaded and fried. On top of that goes a fresh herb gremolata, lime zest, lemon zest, and grated Parmigiano.
I love that, and I like the colors of it. I mean, it presents
Gorgeous.
beautifully.
It sits there on the plate, really pretty, and then it's all sitting on a bed of our house-made Beezer beer vinaigrette, Beezer beer vinegar aioli.
And that's the IPA.
New England IPA.
Magnificent. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
man.
I love this car service. In fact, this is the only way I will do this podcast from now on.
There you go. Yeah, like kind of a tasting menu.
All right.
You guys want to dig in a little bit, or do you want me to hold it for now?
Oh no, we want to dig in. Are you kidding?
Okay, here,
Yeah,
I can
sure.
hold it. So
Oh,
that
here, Fiona. Great. Or what, you need a plate?
Yeah, actually, why don't you guys keep chatting, and I'm going to put it on plates for you to make it easier
Gosh,
to
this
eat. in
is
front.
amazing.
One of the things we were talking about, I think before the video situation was fixed, the food here, this is high-end stuff. I mean, you go to different breweries and brew pubs, everyone seems to have a menu. This is next level. I mean, Trevor has... I mean, you learned from Amaro Cantu. I mean, this guy who was this mad scientist, this genius in the kitchen who learned from Charlie Trotter. The stuff that you put on the plate here is... This is an amateur hour here. This isn't just a bunch of fried pretzels and chips.
Yeah, well, the whole point was we wanted to make it approachable, but we also didn't want to just come in super lowbrow. So we still do the stuff that people want to have. We still do a pretzel, but we make it ourselves. A knife pretty much sees everything in our kitchen, so everything's super hands-on. Everything's from scratch. The Woodfired grill especially adds a good woody character to a lot of our grilled items and our grilled meats. Here you go, if you'd like to start. There you go. And so.
I can't see who's, because of this new software, I can't see who's making the comments as we do this video. Someone just wrote about you that you're the man, and we're in good hands.
Oh, awesome. Good. I don't
Great.
know who it was, but hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Or lady. I don't know.
Could
All
be.
right.
Okay,
Here you
thank
go.
you.
Oh my
That's for you.
gosh.
All right.
Oh, I'm so excited about this. This is
Looks
the
amazing.
really glamorous part of the video. People
Great.
watch us eat food.
Yeah, so the fried zucchini, we shave it super thin, and then we fry it. This was actually one of the dishes on the menu at my wedding. We got married.
Really?
Yeah, me and my wife got married almost exactly a year ago here at OIB.
Wow.
And did the full thing. Made a little lager called Tell Death. It's a Pilsner that we served up, and her and I brewed it together. And then she loves this dish. This is one of her favorite dishes. So anytime that we're talking about OIB food, I always like to kind of premiere it.
Am I wrong to treat this as finger food?
Do it. You can
my
eat it
gosh.
however you want.
Well, I realized Fiona went for the more proper silverware approach.
Sure, I would eat it with my fingers personally, but I'm also.
So I broke the rules,
Yeah,
actually.
you're fine. I eat it with my fingers.
This is delicious.
It's delicious. The first thing that comes across to me is that citrus.
Yeah, totally. All that citrus zest on top. It makes a great accompaniment to Della, which is our Kolsch beer. It's super light and refreshing, and we're definitely going to be having that at the Trotter Project Beer Fest because it is something that, it kind of gets people in. It's the hook, right? It's like,
Yeah.
come try this Kolsch. And people are like, well, I don't know if I really like craft beer. And then they get to have a little something that's nice and crisp and refreshing. Like, oh, wow, this is craft beer. Great. And then you can start getting a little weird, Then you give them something like the Cinnamon Prost Crunch, which is, a beer that tastes exactly like Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
That's the greatest name ever.
Thank you. We're actually going to be premiering that beer infused with some coffee that was infused with some of our hops from
Wow.
Dark Matter Coffee, our friends over there. And
love
so it's
that.
going to be like a coffee horchata white stout. So we're getting weird with it, but it's delicious. It just tastes like, like
amazing.
really sweet coffee. So.
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah, you can hurt yourself on it, no doubt. Yeah.
So how many beers do you have on tap at any given time here?
I think right now we're at like 10 of our own, but I can serve up to 12 off our taps, and then we'll have like varying guest taps and ciders, and we actually have a really great wine program. Most of our wine is bought from Robert Hood, who also used to work for Charlie Trotter as a sommelier, who's Paula Hood's husband. She works with the Trotter Project. She works for the Trotter Project. She is the Trotter Project with everyone else. And yeah, so there's a lot of those ties still in there. And then we also have a full cocktail program. So we actually get in amazing ice, and I can actually take your plate because this is full service, man. You don't have to keep your plate. Come on.
You were ruining me for all future guests.
All you have to do is get it to me, though. That's the one rub.
This is so
There you
good.
go.
It is so good.
Yeah, delicious.
And the deceptive thing about the zucchini is it feels light,
Right.
it tastes light,
Yep.
but it's deep fried. That's how they trick
Yeah.
you.
That's it. Make you think you're not eating a ton of calories.
So you talked a little bit about this, but for this neighborhood, you are this anchor tenant. You're here. You're bringing new people in here. Someone who walks in who maybe isn't a craft beer enthusiast. What is that hook?
For us, it's we try to cast a pretty wide net. That's why we have the cocktail program. That's why we have wine. That's why we have more approachable food. You can do like the fine dining, like really fancy stuff, and scare a bunch of people away with.
Yeah, actually, you don't even need to like alcohol to come here and have a great
and
night
actually,
out.
we're pretty kid friendly. I mean, you'll notice when you come in there, we've got the bag set in the back, and the kids can.
I did
play
not
and
notice
carry
that.
On. Yeah.
Well, we're doing that afterward.
There you go. And so it's families come in here, and whether you drink, you don't drink, you're definitely welcome. We even have some non-alcoholic cocktails for those who don't drink. So.
Again, let's talk about the thing that kicks off next weekend.
Yes.
It is the Trotter Project Beer Fest.
Correct.
And that kicks off at the Irish American Heritage Center, which is very close to where we are right now.
Indeed.
And it's a week-long event. And let's talk about some of the people who are playing along with this. You mentioned Dark Matter.
I did, yeah.
Is there a better coffee in Chicago?
You know what? I think there's a lot of different coffee. I'm a big fan of coffee, and I love that there's a rainbow of different kinds. So I've got a bunch of different coffees I like, but those are my brothers. I mean, brothers and sisters. I love them to death. They've done a ton with us. We've done a lot of charity raising together in the past, so I really like them.
Also, Haymarket is participating.
Yep, Haymarket Pub and Brewery.
Done a few podcasts there.
Yeah, Pete Crowley and John Neurotter, my buds over there. Yep.
Twisted Hippo.
Oh, yeah, they're right down the street, 2 miles.
Forbidden Root.
Correctamundo.
Eris Brewing and Cider House.
Yeah,
Where's that?
A mile away on Irving. Yeah, they're just right down the road as well. Good friends.
And Cruz Blanca, which is Spanish for
Love
the
those guys.
White Cruise.
Okay. If you say so. No, those guys are great. And again, they have a focus on food as well.
All right, so this whole event, $35 gets you brews and bites from all these places. I mean, really, this is a great way to spend a day.
Yeah, I mean, $35, and you know that you're kind of helping underserved youth in Chicago and helping them kind of chase their dreams. As that's the whole point of the Trotter Project. So it's great.
Going back to Fiona, this is the insanity of this podcast. You two have nothing in common professionally,
No.
and I love bouncing back and forth between you two. That's
It is fun.
You've done a ton of media as an entertainment lawyer. You've been on the BBC, on MSNBC. Do you like doing TV? Do you like doing this?
Yeah. I would say that I feel like I am in a very privileged position to have a voice that I can use. So I feel like I have a responsibility to try to use that voice to advocate for my clients. So I think that for whatever reason I have a platform. I've been practicing for nearly 12 years in this field exclusively. So I more think of it as a responsibility as part of my advocacy. So
what would you say your biggest success has been? That moment where you thought, oh, that makes it all worth it.
To be honest, it's forthcoming. I'll share it, even though it's not necessarily common knowledge. But I am just about to publish my first book.
Hey.
Yay! It's a children's book on immigration. So
Get out.
yeah, I'm really excited about it. So
how long have this been kind of germinating?
for the past year, well, this calendar year, so about 9 months or so. Yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We could use that.
Yeah.
for our education, you and I.
Oh, yeah.
I also know nothing about immigration.
Should do a first reading in the Car con Carne.
So, and you've been
Smart.
paired with an illustrator, or do you illustrate?
Yeah, so I'm working with a publisher in DC, and we've been working with an amazing illustrator. She's based in Italy. So the book kind of just really I want to explain to I have 2 little kids, so I felt as a parent that I wanted to write something that really spoke to the message and what I do in my job. So the idea is that, America, when it's diverse and welcoming, that's a really good thing. And I've highlighted lots of different immigrant stories based on clients of ours. So it's a positive, it's not a anti this, that message. It's just a very positive message of diversity and just welcoming. So I'm very excited.
I love that. So
I do too. That's
Yeah.
super cool.
We got to hear something good about it. At least
Yeah.
That's right.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Is it weird seeing your words turn into images? That
You
seems
know-
like that would be like it'd be hard to totally be all in with that. Like,
I had like a very clear image of what, because part of the process is, and of course it's all new to me. I mean, I write all day long, but not for children.
Right.
The audience is slightly different. But I mean, I did have a clear picture of some of the things that I wanted to see. So we were able to give the illustrator some direction about things, and it's based on, like I said, friends, family. Like my brother who works with me, Ray, his wife Faith, she was adopted as a baby from the Philippines, so she has a page in the book. And an artist client of mine, Yulia, she's from Russia, she has a page in the book, and we actually got some of her artwork in there as well.
That's super cool.
Yeah,
So rad.
my daughter Rose did a little sketch that's gone in there too. So so it's kind of, I just felt like really inspired and really, like, I don't know, it sounds really crazy, but I just felt like compelled, I don't know, some type of divine inspiration to do it. And it wasn't actually that hard to think of like images and stuff like that. So I guess we'll wait for the critical reviews to come in, but I didn't think the process.
you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about immigration law and the situation with immigration. Explain labor trafficking, because this is a thing, and
Right.
I think we all on the surface understand that. As it pertains to you and your work, explain labor trafficking.
I mean, I think that certain populations of the community can be more vulnerable, and undocumented immigrants certainly fall into that group. And unfortunately, when there's vulnerability, there can be exploitation that comes along with that. So labor trafficking would be where people are made to do jobs for very little wages. They're maybe possibly in unsafe working conditions. They're exploited, but it's to the level of, threats to call ICE, or, that type of extreme type of, behaviour from an employer. And to be honest, the rationale behind there is a potential visa for victims of labour trafficking. And the reason is that, if you think about it, the American worker public is made much less safe by people being forced into those conditions, because if an immigrant will accept, these type of dangerous conditions then, or lower wages and so on and so forth, it really has a negative impact on the US worker. So when you think about the rationale for enabling them to come forward and have a path, it really makes sense. So unfortunately, I think it's just vulnerability, exploitation, and really at the moment immigrants are just on a heightened sense of just anxiety, and it's just very unfortunate that sometimes, and it's a very small minority of employers, of course, but they can really take advantage of that vulnerability. So
From a percentage perspective, labor trafficking, sex trafficking is sensationalized. That's the one people talk
Right.
about. Are they equal in terms of their...
I mean, the thing that we look at
Occurrences,
as
I guess,
well
what I'm
is,
trying to
I don't know statistically what's more prevalent one over the other, but certainly the trauma that's inflicted on, and that's really what it's about as well. Like a lot of the clients that have gone through either labour or sex trafficking are extremely traumatised, and part of the process is making sure that they have access to social services, therapy, that type of thing, to help them work through that. And it's tough on the attorneys as well,
Yeah.
not to put us in any way, but But I mean, I'm
but
conscious
that's a
of
fair response.
Yeah, secondary trauma to our staff, and you know, you have to be very just aware of even doing a consultation, because a lot of times people don't necessarily volunteer the trauma straight away.
Yeah.
So there's, you know, you have to be very sensitive about that type of inquiry as well. So
It's hard not to take your job home.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
And Trevor, you take your job home, right?
Yeah, but not like that, you guys. It's beer and food, okay? Like,
Can I take your job home?
right, yeah, right. You can actually in a growler or something. So,
So what do we have here?
so yeah, just to break up the
It's all about balance.
conversation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I also brought some fresh forks and knives. Rather, Matt brought fresh forks and knives. I don't know why
Thanks,
I said
Matt.
I.
Oh my God.
I sent the text.
This is the octopus, right?
The royal eye. So I split this one up into two for you, and I'm going to have Matt spiel it again because he's so very
Are
eloquent.
you not eating anything?
I'm not. I'll explain in a second.
Here you go.
Oh my gosh.
This is our wood-fired octopus. It's grilled over a wood fire in our
my
kitchen,
gosh.
marinated and served on top of fried Yukon Gold potatoes with olive and sweet red pepper relish.
Beautiful.
Hey, this is almost like
Well stated, man.
it's almost like a bark on this.
There is. So that's from the
amazing.
char on the wood fire grill. If you get
Oh,
that
my
char, it really
God.
adds another depth of flavor.
Oh,
And so I'm going to hand those out to you. And this is definitely one you're going to want to put on your lap and have it with a fork and knife.
Uh-huh.
I have a
Can
huge...
I get a napkin?
Of course you can.
Please finish
I
that
should have
sentence.
brought a bit.
Please
yeah.
finish that
Oh
sentence.
yeah.
But octopus holds a huge place in my heart. I've always loved it. We had a menu item at Moto where we would confit octopus, and it was like one of my favorite cooking methods. It was the first time I realized just absolutely how delicious octopus could be. And I also went to Spain one time and had probably the finest bite of food I've ever had in San Sebastian
Do you have a napkin?
with
I'll
my
put it
dear
that one. Here, you
friend
take.
Derek Hull, who is, again, just like Paula and everyone else, is the Trotter Project. Do you have everything you need? What do you need?
I think I just took her napkin.
That's fine.
Oh, that's all right. And here's another
No,
one.
I gave it to
Boom.
you. You didn't take it.
All right, there you go.
The interesting thing about this is delicious, by the way.
Thank
Oh
you.
my gosh, this looks
The interesting
incredible.
thing about octopus is the texture,
Yeah.
and I think Anthony Bourdain said something like, "Texture is the final frontier for American cooking."
That's exactly it. Yeah. And the thing about it is, octopus is one of those things, it's 60 seconds or 60 minutes, right? Anything in between, it's going to be a rubber tire. So low and slow, that's the tempo. And let all those proteins break down and then just become something else. It's really one of my favorite
This
things.
is amazing.
And it's one of the few things that hasn't really changed since we launched it on the menu 3 years ago. So
Wow.
Is this a popular item? I would think this might scare some people off.
You know what's funny is I don't think it would organically be a popular item, but I think the staff is so passionate about the dish itself that they sell it all the time. Even our lunch guy Josh, who has actually become a dear friend of mine, he sells it all the time, even though it's not on the lunch menu. It's just like a unspoken agreement between him and the kitchen that he's gonna sell it like crazy.
that smoked flavor is amazing.
It's
Isn't that
delicious.
cool? That's from the
Yeah.
wood fire.
And tell me again,
A little
the
bit of hickory and cherry.
this.
Yeah, so that's just a garlic aioli. We take our sauces really seriously here.
Amen.
So yeah, every time we make a garlic aioli, we could really, I think Chef Trev, he really pours over it and makes sure that it's just right and it's really balanced and nuanced. Yeah.
Like I said, you don't even need to drink to have a great night here.
No, exactly. I'm sure it's pairing fine with the Topo Chico.
But that said, what's your favorite beer here? Like when you're drinking your own stuff recreationally.
I'll tell you what my least favorite question is. No, I'm just kidding. I think as you become a brewer and you start making these craft beers, I used to be a big stout guy and I was an IPA guy and then all this other stuff. What's funny is nowadays I drink like really light lagers and I like really spritzy sours and I like, when people like put things under 5%. I like things that are sessionable because I drink for a living. I don't need to be,
Right.
drinking 8% IPAs and big old bold stouts. Maybe once in a great while, but I would say probably our Kolsch, the Till Death Pilsner that comes out, and then Oktoberfest is probably my favorite one. We have a big party here on our anniversary, like the weekend of the 21st, which is going to be our 3-year anniversary, and call it a Hoptoberversary, and it's 3 days of just jolly good fun and big steins of our Oktoberfest lager and German food, dancing.
One of my great takeaways from tonight is the story behind Till Death.
Thanks.
That's
the
greatest.
Yeah, it's a meaningful beer.
Fiona, these potatoes.
Yeah. You poach them, you smash them, you fry them, and it's just the best way to cook a potato. You'll see that in a few restaurants in Chicago. I think it might have started with Mr. Jared Wentworth from Longman and Eagle originally, and I think I don't know. I think there's a long Bristol back in the day, I think, when he was there, and you'll just see these things everywhere. It's kind of like a little hidden legacy in Chicago dining that maybe that's just kind of stuck around.
And you do hot chicken here too.
We do. We have a Nashville hot sandwich, which is to die for. It's served on a sriracha bun.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's pretty naughty, but it's delicious.
It's a great way to sell beer.
Yeah, for sure. Make things really spicy. People have to drink a bunch of beer, a bunch of Kolsch to chase it with. So yeah, and this neighborhood likes spice. Every time we make something spicy, they're like, more spice. Like, okay.
I do love a good Nashville hot.
Who doesn't? It's amazing.
And Nashville, I haven't been to many places, but Nashville was one of the first U.S. cities I went to where I thought, if I had to, I could live here.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've lived in Chicago my whole life, but Nashville's kind of great.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of great music. There's a great vibe. The people are really nice. They're, like, really kind and gracious, you know? They just have a little, that southern hospitality. You really feel it in Nashville, I feel like, you know?
And that was one of my to-dos when I went there was go to Hattie B's.
There you go. You gotta do it.
You
gotta do it. Yeah, absolutely. There's places all over the world. That's the best part of traveling. I think the best way to get to know a culture, a people, is probably through their food and their language. You know, I mean, how they talk, how they act, and what they eat.
I used to travel a lot for business, and it's true. Whenever I had any free time at all, and I would travel by myself, I would try to find that place, that restaurant.
Yeah.
Off the beaten path. I would try to show myself as much of that city as possible, assuming I'd never have the chance to go back.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do whenever I would go to another city.
Call it fall on your nose, man. It's anytime I'm in a place, I always try, and I try not to have people tell me. That's I have a weird thing about that. I kind of want to find it organically, like some kind of explorer, you know. Even though there's plenty of stuff on your phone, but it's like, come on, like we can do this, you know.
Yeah.
Ask the local, sit down, have a beer somewhere, chat with someone over that beer, and have them tell you what their favorite place is. You know.
Yep.
That's the thing.
How's the food in Dublin? Do you miss it?
You know, I do. I was going to say, speaking of potatoes, I feel like I am like an expert.
I hear they eat some potatoes in Ireland.
Yeah, in like so many different ways to cook potatoes. But I just got back. I was home for a week or so, but I miss the fish. You know, there's a lot of fresh fish being right there. And I just feel like, you know, within Chicago, just in terms of like geographically speaking, it's just hard to get access, to that type of fish. But no, the food in Ireland is great. I feel like there's a couple of vicious rumours floating around that I want to like absolutely dispel. There's like that we drink warm beer, that, you know, the food is terrible. I'm not sure like who's
the proper temperature.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like there's a couple of vicious rumours, but the food in Ireland, I think, is amazing.
I think maybe people are confusing you with Scotland, because I lived in Scotland for a while, and the food, and I'm Scottish, like somewhere in my heritage, but no, the food is bad in Scotland. Straight up.
The food in Ireland is amazing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Trevor, are you always kind of keeping your eyes, ears, and nose open for new concepts?
Totally. Absolutely. I mean, I love going out, and me and my wife, we love going out and dining, and I do get inspired at weird times. You know, it might be by, you know, someone else's drink. Maybe it's by a cocktail. Right now we have a beer on called the Mai Tai PA, which I was like, I'm a big junkie for like huge, big, boisterous, like tropical cocktails. I love them. I think it's amazing.
Anything you can light on fire, put an umbrella in.
One of my favorite treats to myself is going to Lost Lake and just like letting those guys do their thing, because it's just so much fun. So I was like, I want to like encapsulate all those flavors in a, you know, in a beer, so someone feels like they're actually drinking a Mai Tai. And we did that. It's really cool. We actually won an award last week at the Old Irving Park Beer and Barbecue Challenge for like we got voted best beer with like over 1,000 guests. So that was really fun.
Congrats.
So yeah, I get inspired by anything. A lot of thoughts come in, you know, while you're taking a shower or something, because that's when it happens, right?
Right, of course.
Yeah.
It's when inspiration hits. All right, so back to immigration.
I love this flip-flop.
Nice segue.
Just, like a quick segue. Immigrants also work in restaurants. Anyway, immigration.
This is true.
So let's talk about, you started your law practice how long ago?
Almost 10 years ago.
And you have 10 people working for you.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So cool.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
So where do you go from here? If someone, let me backtrack. If someone wanted your help, what do they need to do?
I mean, we have lots of different methods of communication depending on what works. I mean, obviously we have a website. People can get our phone number, email address. We're online, all different social media. So the firm is McEntee Law Group, and then I kind of have my own social media thing. US Visa Lawyer is my Twitter and Instagram. But yeah, so we're pretty easily contactable.
I love it. All right, and you talked about the greatest success or the thing that gave you the most joy. What's been the hardest thing since you opened up your doors?
Oh gosh. You know, I would say one of the hardest things was I was one of the, along with my brother and some other colleagues, on call at O'Hare Airport post travel ban for 6 months.
Which seems like forever ago, and it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. And it was really traumatizing, I think, for everyone involved. But I mean, I remember, I'll never forget one day. It was like a few days kind of post when the ban had just been stopped by some of the courts. But we welcomed a Syrian refugee family come through O'Hare. Now they would have been banned indefinitely per the ban, per this version of the ban, and even now they would. But there was a mum and a dad and a family. There was like 5 kids. Now they'd gone through the refugee process, which is very, very stringent. They'd been probably living in a refugee camp in Turkey for years. The kids might not have known anywhere else other than the refugee camp. But, you know, we were there to welcome them to the States, and we went to the little shop at O'Hare and got little balloons and, you know, just stuff. Like, we were like, what can we do to make them feel welcome? Like, and I never forget the looks on their face. They were, you know, just, of course, arriving in a new country, language, you know,
overwhelmed in every possible way.
In so many possible ways. But there was a group of us, the volunteer lawyers, just there, and, you know, we all, I think, were probably unsuccessfully holding back the tears. But you know, that was when I just kind of knew, you know, politics aside, I felt like I knew we were kind of on the right side of history there. So, yeah, that's a moment that stands out.
And with that said, is the food on the way?
The food is on the way. We've got, no kidding. Yeah, proper dinner talk there. Yeah. No, I've got our final course on its way. Speaking of courses, a cool thing about the Charlie Trotter Days, we actually during those days, so starting the 11th, a whole slew of restaurants on the whole entire planet are going to be featuring a Chef Charlie Trotter inspired dish, the proceeds of which are going to go directly to the Trotter Project. It's so cool. I know when I was at Moto, we actually dug up a couple of old Trotter dishes and kind of reimagined them, and it was such a fun experiment. And I'll tell you what, those dishes still hold up today. Speaking of dishes, right on to you is Matt with your next course.
Oh my God,
there's
more.
Split the burger. Yeah, this is the last one. Yeah,
so this is the burger of the week.
Yeah, this is the burger of the week that we do every Monday.
And Matt's going to explain this.
Yes.
Let me hand that to Fiona.
Oh, okay. No, this is not the burger of the week. I apologize.
I'm sorry. I thought it was OIB burger.
No, it was burger of the week. But that's okay. You guys are going to have the OIB burger.
I didn't want... The burger of the week didn't interest me at all.
Oh, I think they were both really interested in the burger of the week. That's all right.
That's fine.
No, this looks amazing. Oh my God, no way.
So
no. This
but
looks delicious.
We'll kind of go over the OIB burger, which is also amazing, and Matt's going to explain it now.
So this is our everyday classic burger. It's an 8-ounce patty cooked on the wood fire. We have caramelized onions, white cheddar cheese, that same Beezer vinegar aioli, and a rosemary bun. And we're very much known for how epic our French fries are.
Oh,
They look amazing.
Yeah, I've had them
Thank
before.
you.
They're amazing.
Thank
you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, actually.
And I will say the IPA... the vinegar,
someone's asking a question.
do you offer curbside service for us normies?
You know what? For sure. You give us a call. We'll bring out some food to you. That's fine.
It's just like
I can't
meatheads.
serve booze to you, so if you want a beer, you're gonna have to come in. But, yeah.
But the IPA vinegar, is it?
Yeah, it's an IPA vinaigrette. So what we did was we actually had some. Sometimes you always have kind of what we call like fluffy bottoms or something like that, where the beer is not exactly serviceable. And so what we did is we teamed up with these guys that actually make vinegar out of the right bee space, and I call them the vinegar boys. And they make vinegars, and they're really beautiful. And so the bees are vinegar is like super tropical and fun because that's how the beer is. And
Well, I was going to say it's very
It's
subtle.
delicious.
Like
it's very subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too sour. Really fun. And then the rosemary bun made in house. We've
That
had
is
this-
so good. It's
Yeah.
like so soft.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to show this as best I can to the camera. This is a perfect medium rare.
I was going to say it's cooked to perfection.
It's awesome.
This is a perfect medium
This is
rare.
amazing. I'm
really
afraid
glad
I
it
want to
is.
spill some juice on the
So,
microphone.
like I'm on TV, guys. We caramelize the onions really low and slow. White cheddar bun.
And they're super sweet.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, man, that's a nice taste.
That's the Vidalia onions. If you go low and slow on that and really let those sugars caramelize, and then we slack it out with like a little bit of butter and balsamic vinegar.
This is amazing.
That's the way
Seriously.
you do. I'm glad you enjoy it.
Oh my God, it's
Trevor,
so
this,
good.
this is like candy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, we're really proud of our burgers. Yeah, we've come a long way. When we first opened, we had them on like a focaccia bread, and they were delicious, but it was a hot mess. But now, with a baker in house who actually knows what he's doing, it's
The
we've
rosemary
come a
bun
long
is,
way.
Oh my God.
this is something special for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Eric does great work.
Oh, Eric, I want to give Eric a hug.
This is
All right,
amazing.
he's not much of a hugger, but yeah, you think I like heavy metal? That guy really likes heavy metal.
I'm so glad we all met.
Me too.
This is amazing.
That's awesome. It's too bad we can't drink beer out here because the Beezer IPA would go perfectly with that.
We're coming back. I'm bringing my team back in 2 weeks for happy hour.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah,
I'll give you my
definitely.
card after this. And,
Okay.
I'll give everyone a tour.
that will be amazing.
Yeah. We do offer tours pretty much every day at 3 p.m. No one ever takes advantage of them, but I'm here hanging out on the weekdays. Come by, say hi. I'll give you a tour.
Hey, I would love the tour.
Yeah, I'll give you one after this.
Cool. I mean, I love just both of you. I mean, I love the entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And that is actually what you have in common
Yeah,
Yeah.
professionally, entrepreneurship.
There you
And
go.
kind hearts.
Yeah. This is delish. So
Okay.
good.
So, oh my God, those onions are ridiculous.
Yeah, they're good, right?
And the bun is so nice and soft. I had something to say. Fiona McEntee, you practice law.
Yes.
As previously mentioned on the show, you practice immigration law. You can be contacted all across social media, various platforms. You are an advocate. You are a supporter. You are doing things for all the right reasons. And I'm really glad that you hung out in a car and talked about beer and Iron Maiden and
Yeah.
cheeseburgers and octopus.
Thank you for having me.
Did you have fun?
Oh my gosh, how could you not have
Okay.
fun in fairness? Like, yeah.
And
Great.
Trevor,
Yes, sir.
my metal friend,
What's up?
thank you for the hospitality.
Of course, it's awesome hosting both of you, and I'm glad to learn more about immigration. Obviously, it's a huge topic right now, and it is a hot topic for us in the restaurant industry. Actually, there's a lot of parallels, and it does greatly impact what we do at day in and day out. So,
I believe that.
yeah,
So the Trotter Project Beer Fest kicks off on Sunday, the 11th, happening at the Irish American Heritage Center. If you like beer and you like food, you need to go to this. So that means everyone should go.
yeah, $35. 11 breweries now on the docket, plus
Wow.
a special collaboration beer between me and Dark Matter, a bunch of food. Helios Construction just gave a huge donation
Nice.
to the Trotter
great.
Project, and they'll be hosting it. They're going to have little gift bags for everyone when you arrive. This is probably going to be the best bang for your buck beer fest, and
No doubt.
I go to a
Wow.
lot of them. So,
Yeah.
No doubt. It's right here on the north side. Fiona, Trevor, thank you for doing this.
of course.
Thank you for having
Pleasure.
us.
Thank you.
Car Con Carne is presented by the Audubon Mazda of Evanston. Thank you for watching. Support what these people do, and tell a friend about this podcast, please.